Calamity boss tier list. Let's go. Alright, so first we have the Desert Scourge. Now, personally, I think this is a great starter boss. The attack patterns are not that difficult, so you're able to actually beat the boss, even if you're under vengeance. Then again, the brown, not my favorite, and it is a worm boss, so for that, I'm gonna go ahead and put it at D tier. Crabulon. I'm so happy that the Mushroom Biome finally got a own featured boss. Now, with that being said, I would have liked it to be a little bit cooler. You know, the Mushroom Biome is my personal favorite, and Crabulon is just a little underwhelming, you know? He's pretty easy to beat. With all that being said, though, I'm going to go ahead and put him at C tier. Hive Mind. Being a corruption enjoyer myself, I'm glad that we got a boss that makes up for the trash that was the Eater of Worlds. The design on the Hive Mind is just great. I love the fight. It's fun. You know, it's still early mode, but it does give you quite a bit of challenge. And this is honestly just the face of Calamity itself. So with all that being said, I think this is perfectly reasonable to put the Hive Mind at A tier. Perforators. This boss just straight up creeps me out. Like, the Brain of Cthulhu did it so much better, and I enjoy that fight so much more than this weird Brain of Cthulhu knockoff with one eye and two mouths. I just generally do not like this boss, but, you know, it could have been worse. C tier. Slime God. I love how this boss incorporates the Crimson and Corruption in one boss and kind of meshes them together. Now, with that being said, I already think you highlighted those two biomes enough in the last two bosses, and I would have liked to personally see a little bit more boss content put into other biomes and other aspects of the game this early on. Obviously, you can do more later with it if you want, but in my personal opinion, I think it's too much emphasis on the Corruption and Crimson, and this boss fight is just frustrating. You know, the splitting of the slimes, it's a slime boss, but, you know, it could have been worse. It could have always been worse, so for that, I'm going to put it at B tier. Cryogen. I think that this is the perfect boss going into hard mode to start out with. You know, it introduces a boss to the snow biome, which if you were playing before, you would have already fought Deerclops, but the design of this boss is just really cool. You know, the attack patterns aren't too complicated, so you can figure it out, even with limited mobility that you will have in early hard mode. It's pretty easy to beat, but it's just also a fun boss. I really like this boss, and so for that, I'm going to put it at B tier. Aquatic Scourge. F tier. Brimstone Elemental. I mean, what more do you want to know about this boss? It adds a boss to the underworld, you know. It's kind of cool, I guess. There's not much to say about it. It's kind of like a wraith, in my opinion. The fight isn't too hard, but you know, it's kind of a cool filler boss. You know, maybe I'm talking it up too much. Yeah, there's not much to it but that. So I'm gonna, you know, maybe who knows or not. S tier. Calamitous Clone. I think this is a great way for people to get introduced to the excitement that is post-Moonlord content in Calamity. You know, like, you're kind of like thinking like, ooh, this is gonna be a big old boss fight, but then nah, it's fake. It wasn't the real Calamitous, and you'll find later that it's not really an eye. But I love this fight. You know, it is pretty difficult, but with all of that being said, I think Calamitous Clone deserves an A tier. Leviathan. This is hands down my favorite design and art for a boss in Calamity. Now, I may be a little biased, but I don't know what hits me about Leviathan. It just screams to me. The way you summon the boss, you know, trying to find that rare creature under the sea, and then you kill it, and you're like, oh no, there's this big fish coming out of the water. What do I do now? And I'm not ready for this. You know, that's kind of how life goes. But yeah, I just love this boss. I don't have any downsides to it. The fight is great. And I truly think that Leviathan deserves an S tier. Astrum Arius. Talk about a boring boss fight. Like, there's nothing good about this. This might as well be a mini boss for the later, a light little bit cooler boss of Astrum Deus. This is practically just Ravager, but with, you know, brighter colors and a slightly more boring attack pattern. You know, I just do not like this boss. But the color scheme is kind of cool, and the little death explosion is. So I'm gonna give it a D tier. Plague Bringer Goliath. This boss holds a special place in my heart. You know, uh, it used to have the coolest art, and they made it even better with a resprite. Um, I really like the attack. It is a little bit of a queen bee attack, but it just makes up for it for every other aspect of the fight. Without, hands down, I think this boss deserves to be in the A tier. Ravager. I mean, what were the Calamity devs thinking on this one? Maybe they were like, you know Golem, the most boring boss in vanilla Terraria? Let's take that and somehow make it just as good. It's not worse than Golem, but it's still pretty bad. It's just a resprite. It doesn't even look cooler in my opinion. It's just a big hodgepodge of random skulls and flames. So for that, I am putting this one solid in F tier. Astrum Deus. Getting to this point, I love how you spawn this boss. You know, it's kind of a vibe, and like when you go to spawn it, you know, some little spirals pop out, and then you're like, boom, you got another worm boss, and that's where you lose me. I have a hatred for worm bosses, maybe just because I'm bad, you know. It might be a skill issue, but the colors on this are cool, you know. But it's a worm boss. There's not much to it, you know. Sometimes it'll shoot lasers at you, but that's about it, you know? And so I do not like worm bosses. I'm going to put this with its brothers in D tier. Profaned Guardians. There's not much to say about this one. They used to be chicken nuggets, but the boss fight, it's alright. We'll put it at the C tier. Dragon Folly. You know, being a newer boss, I remember being a bit skeptical going into it, but I love the design of this boss. It's a cool bird, and who doesn't like a cool bird? Um, Fight is alright. I mean, it shoots out little minions, but there's not much to it other than that. But it's a cool bird. We're gonna give it B tier. Providence. Talk about one of the coolest boss fights in a 2D game, and it is so frustrating. Finally beating this boss for the first time is like a core memory. You know, this boss fight is extremely difficult, and everybody loves it, you know? The flames, you know, it kind of gives me Yaren vibes, but we'll get to Yaren later, and just the death effect for this is just spectacular, you know? The Calamity devs really upped their game with this one, and I'll sit here for a second and just kind of take it all in as we move on to the next boss, and it drops some cool weapons and really just moves you into the end game of Calamity. So I think this one rightfully deserves to be in S tier. Stormweaver. Can someone explain to me why people like worm bosses so much? Like, I can't get behind it. Oh, you hit the tail to do more damage. No, that's stupid. Just let me fight the boss and something that doesn't just go in circles, go underground, show up again, hit me, one-shot me. Like, I just don't like this boss. The sword is cool though. The sword is cool. So only for that we'll put it at C tier. Ceaseless Void. I guess the mods were trying to appeal to the more edgy, you know, part of the community, the goths, you know, they needed their own boss. But with that being said, I do like this boss. You know, the little minions that you gotta hit before, like, it almost acts as like a shield. I kind of like that. The design, you know, it's just a black and purple boss. There's not much too special about it, so I think that this boss, we're gonna put it in B tier. Cygnus. The lame name, that of a Discord mod, matches the lame fight that this is. They really took a Wraith's, you know, attack patterns and put that into a boss, resprited it, and then said, "Yep, that'll make our audience happy. That's the good content that we need." No, it sucks. It's just a Wraith. You know, it'll disappear sometimes, but that's all there is to it. This is a disappointing boss, and I'm disappointed. You can do better, Calamity devs. And I'm gonna put this at D tier. Poltergeist. Typically, I do not like resprites, but for some reason, this one just hits so hard. It's an underground dungeon boss. Who didn't want that? It is just Plantera, which is kind of sad. They could have made this so much cooler, but I did like the updated sprite on it, and here it runs away. But I think I am solid when I say A tier. Old Duke. The Calamity devs are back at it again with another resprite. I mean, they're just loving this reused content. But I don't think they really did that bad of a job on this one either. Like, they just took the Duke Fishron fight from Vanilla Terraria and made it a little bit better. You know, they didn't try to outdo no one. They're just trying to put their own art spin on it, and so I think it deserves a solid B tier. Devourer of Gods. Why? Just why? Do you like getting one shot every 5 seconds? Like, no, this boss sucks. I hate it. But you know, it's alright. Maybe it's just a skill issue, so I'm gonna be unbiased and put it where this boss should go. And respectively, I believe that is in the S tier. Nope, that's F tier. Yeren. I think a lot of us have very fond or very bad memories of Yeren as a boss. You know, the screams, the pain, the hours and hours of preparation it took just to lose in like 30 seconds worth of fighting it. And even you can see here that it somehow manages to kill me on definitely. But I think this is a great boss. I really do. And so for that, I'm gonna put it at S tier. Supreme Witch Calamitus. If you made it this far, I just want to thank you for watching. You know, leave a comment about something you liked, something you hate, or if you just hate me, you can say that in the comments too. I won't take it personal, or maybe I will, you never know. But anyway, I think that Supreme Witch is just the perfect resolution to the perfect mod pack. This boss fight just has everything in it. You know, you're in an enclosed arena, so all that movement items that you spend hours upon hours grinding for, they don't do a whole lot here. But I'm just really happy with this ending boss. It's one of the best final bosses that I've ever gotten the chance to fight. And I want to thank you all for watching. Wait till the very end so you can see where I rank this, but there should be absolutely no surprise to anyone. So, you see, we kill it there, and I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, leave a comment, share it with people, or don't. Live your best life. And always, be a good human. And I will see you guys in the next episode in Supreme Witch Calamitus. We're just going to take a moment to reflect on everything. If there was an S+ tier, I would put it there, but for now we're going to put it at the top of S tier. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys.